Imagine scrolling through your phone on a quiet December night, the faint glow of holiday lights bouncing softly across the room, casting long shadows on the walls. The world outside is silent, serene, wrapped in the gentle hush of falling snow or the subtle hum of streetlights. Yet inside, the quiet amplifies something far heavier. A pang of recognition strikes you, sharp and sudden. Christmas doesn't bring you joy. It doesn't cradle you in warmth or spark a sense of belonging. Instead, it brings consequences, echoes of memories you've tried to bury all year, resurfacing uninvited, vivid, and uncomfortable. Faces, names, places, and moments you thought were safely tucked away now stare back with uncanny familiarity, haunting in their persistence. You begin to feel the weight of absence, of loss, of emotional investments you never received in return. The laughter and cheer you witness, both on screens and in real life, are not a reflection of your own life. They are a glaring mirror of what you missed or failed to build. The connection others seem to effortlessly create feels inaccessible to you. Holidays are supposed to be about celebration, togetherness, and shared joy. But for some, they transform into a mirror that exposes emptiness, failures, and the quiet erosion of emotional influence over time. If you've ever felt a hollow ache while the world around you thrived, know this: you are not imagining it. The season amplifies contrasts, illuminating hidden fractures behind smiles, behind perfectly wrapped gifts, behind the carefully curated images of joy everyone else seems to inhabit. Somewhere, right now, someone sits in the dim glow of a screen, scrolling through messages, photos, and memories, and comes face to face with the truth. Christmas does not bring them joy the way it brings others joy. Instead, it brings consequences, the sudden confrontation with feelings they've spent months avoiding. Regrets resurface, moments slip through memory like water through fingers, and the reality of lost opportunities weighs heavily. If a name just flashed into your mind, or a memory tugged at your heart, pause and recognize it. Press like or share this moment. It's a lifeline for anyone feeling isolated in their awareness. Stay with this, because in the next moments, we'll uncover why the holiday season does more than celebrate happiness. It exposes the emotional architecture of our lives, revealing who can give, who can receive, and who cannot. Holidays possess a peculiar and almost brutal clarity. They amplify contrasts, exposing cracks that can remain hidden for months at a time under routines, distractions, or carefully cultivated personas. On ordinary days, the fissures in certain people's lives may remain invisible, masked by performance and superficial interactions. But Christmas, with its emphasis on intimacy, generosity, and genuine connection, does not allow hiding. The truth surfaces. Some flourish effortlessly in warmth and shared joy, while others, particularly those who rely on influence without authenticity, stand exposed. It's in these moments that the narcissist's deficit, their inability to connect on a real level, becomes painfully visible both to those around them and, crucially, to themselves. On a regular day, they can maintain their armor of charm, control, and theatrical confidence. Conversations are orchestrated, dramas manufactured, and illusions of superiority maintained to mask emptiness. But the holidays strip these layers away. The simplicity of a hug given freely, the spontaneous laughter that doesn't require audience or applause, and the natural flow of shared traditions highlight what they cannot achieve. In every glance at warmth, every visible bond, every shared smile that isn't transactional, the contrast between what exists and what they are becomes undeniable. The holiday season does not punish them. It simply illuminates the space between genuine connection and performance, between what is earned and what is assumed, leaving them to confront a deficiency that the rest of the world can neither see nor ignore. Every ornament hung, every carol sung, every meal shared becomes a reminder of emotional currency that cannot be faked or borrowed. While some move through the season with ease, joy, and participation, Others stand at the periphery, acutely aware of their inability to belong. It is not just loneliness, it is a profound awareness of what is missing, a recognition that the skills of influence, manipulation, and performance cannot replace authentic human connection. In witnessing these contrasts, the holidays hold a mirror to the self, revealing patterns, choices, and absences that were previously unnoticed. For some, it is a silent reckoning, a moment to understand the true cost of the emotional gaps in their lives. What they see around them is something they have never learned to cultivate: effortless connection. Families supporting each other without negotiation, friends giving without expectation, lovers being present without performance. Every gesture, every smile, every embrace becomes a mirror reflecting what they lack internally. The awareness is subtle yet profound. They cannot produce this emotional currency alone. It is not earned through dominance, calculation, or intimidation. And the holidays amplify this truth. The distractions that usually shield them, the noise of work, routines, social obligations, are gone, replaced by focused intimacy and openness. Surrounded by genuine interactions, they feel the stark weight of their inability to belong, to give, and to receive love freely, and the awareness is almost unbearable. This contrast is more than simple observation. It is a revelation. The holiday season does not manufacture the deficit, it exposes it. Every gathering, every communal laugh, every spontaneous act of generosity highlights what has always been missing. For those who recognize themselves in this story, it is an invitation to reflect deeply. Connection is not transactional. Joy is not performance. Belonging is not a privilege earned through control, fear, or manipulation. It is nurtured and shared willingly. Understanding this distinction can transform how one experiences the season, reshaping relationships, perceptions, and the very emotional framework that governs interactions. The awareness alone is enough to alter future holidays, permanently coloring the way they see the warmth around them. While the world glows during the holiday season, they feel dimmer by comparison. Lights, laughter, music, and warmth amplify the emptiness within, and neuroscience confirms this. The brain reacts to communal joy with both reward and a painful reminder of unmet needs. Witnessing others thrive in connection does not merely spark envy. It reawakens old wounds, memories of loss, control relinquished, and opportunities squandered. They replay grievances endlessly, convincing themselves of others' culpability. Because accountability is a luxury they cannot afford emotionally, the holidays strip away the illusions, leaving them exposed to their own deficiencies. In this environment, the contrast is a form of punishment that cannot be evaded, subtle yet unrelenting. The disparity is undeniable. Watching others exchange gifts, share meals, and give freely highlights what they have always failed to achieve: authentic, uncalculated reciprocity, laughter born of genuine joy, smiles without expectation, and gestures of pure generosity stand in stark contrast to past attempts at control and influence. During Christmas, connection is the standard, empathy is the language, and emotional reciprocity is the currency. These are currencies they cannot produce alone, and every instance of genuine interaction around them underscores the absence within. Surrounded by the emotional wealth they cannot access, they feel barren, their usual tools of manipulation rendered useless. The season does not forgive, it illuminates. The holiday mirror is unflinching. Past moments of effortless control, when influence shaped conversations and dictated moods, now appear hollow. Attention that once came unearned has vanished. Those who once granted them access freely now operate independently. The emptiness has always existed, but festive seasons make it unavoidable, impossible to ignore. Loss of control, the absence of a captive audience, and the inability to orchestrate the focus of others hits like withdrawal. The very mechanisms that once provided stability now crumble, revealing dependence and deficiency. Every uncalculated interaction, every authentic connection that bypasses them, is a reflection of what cannot be manufactured or claimed through force. On ordinary days, they manipulate the emotional thermostat of the room. Attention is directed where desired, tensions are sparked strategically, and victimhood performed to extract sympathy. But Christmas disrupts these levers. Focus is communal, divided among traditions, family, friends, and authentic joy. The gravitational pull they rely on dissolves into a collective spotlight that cannot bend to whims or strategy. The structured rhythm of the season, pre-planned events, shared rituals, and social priorities exposes their reliance on manipulation. Without the usual systems of control, instability rises, and deficits that were previously masked become unavoidable. In a room alive with tradition, warmth, and collective celebration, the absence of authority over others' emotions is felt sharply. Shared meals, uncalculated embraces, and spontaneous laughter all highlight what is missing within. The usual methods of dominance and emotional leverage fail. Where once they engineered interactions to maintain supremacy, they now witness connection occurring organically, freely, and without coercion. Christmas, with its established norms and selfless exchanges, erodes the capacity for control. Warmth, generosity, and connection exist independently of them, and in this reality, the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. It is not punishment, it is exposure, a spotlight on deficit and limitation. This creates a control vacuum, a space the narcissist cannot navigate without revealing intent. Unlike ordinary days, they cannot manipulate events, redirect attention, or co-opt rituals without exposing motives. What once arrived effortlessly, praise, attention, influence, is now contingent, and contingency exposes strategy. Every gesture is scrutinized, every word dissected, every effort interpreted. The subtle systems that maintain supremacy collapse, leaving them exposed. The game they once won by default is now visible in its mechanics, and the reality of diminished influence is unavoidable. In this space, the limits of performance are laid bare, and the consequences of emotional deficit are inescapable. When a narcissist realizes their usual methods of influence no longer work, they experience what can only be described as ego starvation. It is not simply the absence of inclusion, it is the absence of curated inclusion, the carefully orchestrated attention that fed their sense of self. Praise is no longer automatic, acknowledgement no longer guaranteed, and the emotional ecosystem they relied on is now beyond their control. Others maintain homes for their hearts elsewhere, and these emotional spaces operate independently, untouched by manipulation. Conversations flow without their input, inside jokes exclude their history, and laughter emerges without waiting for their approval. This fracture is destabilizing, shaking the illusion that they are the axis around which the world rotates, and panic, though often concealed, begins to set in. In response, they may revert to familiar strategies to reclaim dominance, provoking guilt, sowing confusion, or feigning sadness to elicit attention. Criticism of traditions, detachment from sentiment, or belittling gifts are tactics designed to regain a foothold in the emotional landscape. Yet beneath the performance lies raw anxiety. Without control, the feedback loop that defines their identity collapses. Their sense of self, constructed entirely through external validation, begins to erode. Holidays expose a profound truth. They are no longer the central figure in the emotional theater they once dominated. When attention is redirected toward genuine connection, the emptiness they have long denied becomes undeniable, stripped of the elaborate illusions they meticulously maintain. Nostalgia, which for most evokes warmth and gratitude, becomes another mirror reflecting failures and missed opportunities with unrelenting clarity. Each song, every scent, every twinkle of light serves as evidence in the courtroom of their past choices. Memories that once could be brushed aside now demand acknowledgement, highlighting moments when control was prioritized over connection. Holiday nostalgia is active, insistent, and unnegotiable. It forces confrontation with the consequences of past behaviors. Excuses that protected the ego during ordinary days collapse under the scrutiny of reflection. While others indulge in memory as a source of comfort, they are left to balance the ledger of what they took without giving, accumulating invisible debts that cannot be repaid by charm or manipulation. Christmas nostalgia does not forgive, and it does not negotiate. It traps them in reflection cycles, where pretending no longer silences the past. The season acts as a magnifying glass, amplifying every withheld gesture, every selfish act, every failure previously overlooked. Distractions, routines, or manufactured superiority fail to shield them, as the very structure of the holiday exposes deficiency. Unlike any other time of year, performance cannot fully conceal lack, and the internal deficit they have long hidden becomes undeniable. The holiday mirror does not bend to ego. It silently records reality, a witness to who they are, stripped of the narratives they project. No matter how they attempt to manipulate perception, the past cannot be rewritten. Memories are immutable, frozen in time, resistant to gaslighting. Confronted with this, they retreat to the familiar defense, rewriting history in their minds, convincing themselves they were mistreated, unappreciated, or misunderstood. But Christmas nostalgia is relentless, providing texture, clarity, and contrast. It illuminates acts of trust freely given, smiles offered without expectation, and the warmth of access they once commanded but left scorched behind. They did not merely lose people, they lost the version of themselves others once believed in, a version that can never be fully reclaimed, leaving a vacuum of identity that resonates through the holiday season. The emotional sting of nostalgia is intensified by stark comparison. They juxtapose the life they once held, where attention, admiration, and emotional investment flowed toward them naturally, with the life they now inhabit, defined by blocked numbers, boundaries, silence, and neutrality. The void they experience is not simply the absence of people, it is the absence of power. Memories that once elevated them now indict them. They see timelines of potential lives that could have existed, parallel versions of themselves that might have been loved, cherished, and trusted. But inhabiting that life required giving something real, something they never learned to offer. Nostalgia forces them to confront a haunting truth. The ghosts they feel are not spirits of others, but the version of themselves they sold to the world. Christmas routines magnify these deficiencies. The season thrives on cycles of giving, receiving, acknowledgement, and value. Cycles that highlight the type of emotional participation they cannot sustain. Holidays are a choreography of care. Attention rotates seamlessly, achievements are celebrated, and the spotlight shifts without drama. For a narcissist, this choreography feels alien. They struggle to contribute without calculation, to give without expectation, or to celebrate others without feeling diminished. The festive environment becomes disorienting, not due to attack, but because it no longer bends around their preferences. Routines that once reinforced control now operate independently, exposing the gaps in their emotional skill set and amplifying the distance between them and those who flow effortlessly through connection. Reciprocity, the invisible engine of holiday interaction, emphasizes the contrast further. One person cooks, another helps decorate. Someone remembers your birthday, and you reciprocate. Someone listens when your life falls apart, and you inquire about theirs. Each exchange creates a tapestry of shared care, a network of trust and emotional investment. A narcissist, however, cannot participate authentically. They may observe, manipulate, or superficially mimic these interactions, but genuine contribution is beyond their reach. Christmas shines a light on every misstep, every missed beat, and every lesson about connection, generosity, and emotional reciprocity that they never learned. The season functions as a diagnostic tool, revealing who thrives in authentic exchange versus who survives by extraction. These exchanges also serve as emotional receipts, proof that investment occurred. For a narcissist, these receipts are absent. They only know withdrawals. They recall every instance where attention was demanded, kindness weaponized, and others carried the weight of connection while they took center stage. When reciprocity becomes the standard, their history becomes painfully visible, even to themselves. They cannot draw from a reservoir of genuine emotional contributions because no such archive exists. Empathy, another cornerstone of holiday connection, is amplified during Christmas. Tears, apologies, and gestures of comfort flow naturally, an openness they cannot access or wield. Confronted with authentic emotion, they are forced to either withdraw or perform, and the mask slips in microseconds, revealing impatience, irritation, or boredom. Holiday rituals corner them into participation rather than control. Every shared meal, gift exchange, storytelling session, or group decision challenges their default strategies. They cannot dominate without exposing themselves, nor can they opt out without arousing suspicion. The season does not punish, it exposes. It reflects the gap between being present and being invested, creating a scoreboard of emotional currency they never learned to earn. Peace, belonging, mutual respect, and emotional safety become silent metrics that underscore deficiency. Laughter that requires no performance, cooperation that needs no manipulation, and gifts given without calculation illuminate the stark contrast between them and those around them, rendering their usual strategies ineffective. Comparison becomes unavoidable. Their internal hunger is measured against the satisfaction and connection evident in others. Isolation, scarcity, and fleeting victories contrast sharply with communities built on genuine bonds over time. While most people reflect on the year with gratitude, pride, grief, and hope, a narcissist tallies losses they can no longer spin as victories. They notice who didn't call, who didn't chase, who honored boundaries, and who prioritized peace over performance. Stability is misread as betrayal, calm as indifference, generosity as weakness. The very season meant to amplify connection instead magnifies their deficits, confronting them with truths they cannot manipulate, escape, or ignore. The holidays force a narcissist to confront a truth they have long avoided. Stability exists beyond them, and it thrives. Witnessing others maintain meaningful relationships, celebrate joy, and experience connection without their influence feels like a personal affront. Years of telling themselves the world would crumble without their presence, manipulation, or control come undone in an instant. The structures they imagined depended on them were never truly theirs. This realization triggers shame, not the kind that fosters growth, but the kind that threatens identity itself. It illuminates the gap between the persona they perform and the actual outcomes of their life, exposing the disparity between imagined power and tangible results, a spotlight they cannot dim. Unable to tolerate this recognition quietly, they often attempt to reclaim control through judgment or withdrawal. They belittle others' joy, dismiss celebrations as superficial, and ridicule those who embrace happiness openly. Laughter, warmth, and generosity, all of which they secretly desire, become targets for mockery. Criticism serves as a protective mechanism, masking the fear that admitting longing equates to admitting failure. Celebration is threatening because it asks a question they cannot answer. What have you built that exists independently of manipulation? When no answer comes, shame overflows, manifesting as condescension, blame, and feigned superiority. Christmas does not punish, they do. But the season refuses to reinforce the narrative where they always win. For most, holiday memories are archives of shared effort, nights spent comforting one another, jokes preserved through the years, trust built meticulously. For a narcissist, these memories are blueprints of extraction. They recall what they took: admiration, attention, and compliance, but seldom what they gave. Christmas forces a reckoning, replaying the past with unflinching clarity. They see the people who accommodated, forgave, and bent themselves to maintain harmony. Those people are now unavailable, their patience spent, their energy redirected. The holiday highlights the debts they never repaid, the care they never nurtured, and the impossibility of reclaiming access that was once effortless. The absence is not random. It is the consequence of imbalance and neglect. The realization often strikes abruptly, triggered by photos, messages, or the hum of familiar spaces now animated with others' laughter. They witness lives progressing without them, and no version of the story casts them as the hero. Loss is compounded by acknowledgement. Someone tried repeatedly to maintain connection but reached the limits of tolerance. The emotional absence they experience is not impulsive or arbitrary. It is the final act of self-preservation by those they once controlled. Christmas sharpens this awareness, highlighting who invested, who withdrew, and where inequity shaped the breakdown of connection. The clarity is unavoidable, and the tally of effort versus extraction cannot be rewritten. What they mourn is not the people themselves, but the influence they once wielded, the gravitational pull over someone else's emotions. They remember holidays where others adjusted their joy, silenced laughter, or modified behavior to avoid conflict or displeasure. Their longing is for access and control, the subtle cues, the tone, the expressions that once shaped an entire room. Christmas magnifies this grief, offering a ledger of emotional investments, showing who offered loyalty, care, and attention, and who now prioritizes themselves. Any narrative of betrayal or ingratitude they construct cannot erase reality. The relationships collapsed because imbalance reached a threshold, not because of disloyalty. The season exposes the truth of what they lost, not love, but dominion. They had the opportunity to build something lasting, a connection that could endure, but they chose dominance instead. Christmas lays bare this pattern with unflinching clarity. People do not linger where they are drained. They do not return to places that cultivate doubt or discomfort. Memories that once seemed manageable now sting with inevitability. A narcissist remembers relationships as trophies, objects to admire and control. But during the holidays, the shelf is noticeably emptier. The illusion of supremacy collapses without an audience reacting to their every move. Their sense of self has always been relational, dependent on others' responses, rather than an identity that exists independently. Christmas simply refuses to participate in sustaining their illusions. Narcissistic power is inherently relational. It requires witnesses, someone to outshine, someone to manipulate, someone to impress, someone to intimidate. Without an audience, superiority ceases to exist as a feeling. It becomes a costume without a stage, a facade with no purpose. Christmas functions as a scoreboard, silently declaring the game over. Those they once controlled, manipulated, or intimidated have healed, thrived, and moved forward. Seeing others grounded and connected exposes the fallacy of their self-image, revealing the gaps behind the elaborate narratives they have constructed. The holidays do not punish. They simply illuminate the reality of relational deficits long ignored or masked. The season amplifies emotional truths that remain hidden during ordinary days. For most, Christmas brings warmth, connection, and reassurance. Shared laughter, meals, gifts, and traditions reinforce relationships that might otherwise go unnoticed. For a narcissist, these rituals expose a stark contrast between imagined influence and actual reality. Their power is dependent on attention, admiration, and response. When those cues are no longer centered around them, they confront a void that no performance can fill. They are forced to witness connection occurring independently of their influence, a reality that shakes their carefully maintained sense of importance. The holidays make relational truth impossible to ignore. Memories that usually provide comfort now serve as instruments of accountability. Every photograph, message, or recollection of shared experiences underscores what they failed to contribute. While others reminisce with warmth, they confront the debts of attention, care, and reciprocity they never paid. Those who forgave, adapted, or bent over backward to preserve relationships are no longer available. The absence is stark, measurable, and permanent. Nostalgia becomes an unrelenting mirror of failures and missed opportunities. The holidays do not allow selective memory or distraction. They force a confrontation with relational imbalance, revealing the patterns of extraction that defined past interactions and the consequences of prioritizing dominance over authentic connection.